Hi, welcome to your saxophone lesson. I'd like to start by just focusing on one element of the saxophone. Instead of telling you what it is and giving it away, I want to see if you could maybe identify it. I'm going to play this phrase 2 different times. So I want you to listen to see what is different about it. Here's the first time. Here's the second try at that same phrase. Again, this is what it looks like. Okay, so did you notice anything different? I played the same notes in the same rhythm, basically the same tone, but one of them sounded quite a bit more musical, more expressive, more mature, I think, and that would be the second option. The first option I just blew with a straight tone. The second version of that same phrase, I used something called vibrato, V-I-B-R-A-T-O. Vibrato is basically the root word vibrate, or to vibrate. When the tone vibrates, it actually moves, it wavers, it changes pitch ever so slightly, back and forth like waves. Think of like a ripple effect. If you drop a pebble in a pond and you see ripples. These are ripples of notes. We're taking a note and pulsing it down and up. Vibrato doesn't change your airstream. I'm still blowing with one full, consistent, solid airstream, but I'm using my bottom lip and my jaw to go wah, 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 instead of just going whoo while I play. I have an exercise to kind of help you with this, and I think the best note to play vibrato on is this note. Why I think F sharp is the best note, it just is very resonant, which means it speaks, it's clear, it's a really solid note on saxophone. It's an in-tune note. There are some notes on saxophone that aren't as in tune or as solid sounding, some that aren't as resonant, some that don't come out as clearly or as easily. F sharp is the complete opposite of those notes. It comes out very easily, it's not too low, it's not too high, and it's very, I think, pliable, meaning we can move it around with our embouchure more easily than like notes in the upper or lower extreme, or like a D where it's everything down. So I've always taught students to learn on an F sharp. So we're going to do a few exercises. Play that note again. Again, it's going to be a whole note F sharp, and just hold it for 4 beats for me so we could establish your tone. Now go ahead and play this pattern on an F sharp. That's what you should have gotten. 4 quarter notes. Now instead of me playing 4 quarter notes with how we normally do, our tongue striking the reed lightly at its tip or near its tip, so articulating, I'm going to play 4 quarter notes without my tongue. It's going to sound like this. So I'm kind of bending, yaw, 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 and I'm giving each one a pulse with my bottom lip and my jaw pulling slightly away, so pulling my bottom teeth away from the reed. I'm not pulsing my air like hoo, 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 hoo. Go ahead and give that a try on 4 quarter notes again. Okay, good. Hopefully you got the 4 quarter notes. Now we're going to move to this rhythm, which is a little quicker than 4 quarter notes. So that's the 8/8 note rhythm on an F sharp, just tonguing. Now I'm going to pulse the 8th notes, and I'm not going to use my tongue. Now I should say, however, we're going to start with our tongue. On the first one, I'm going to tongue it because it's the beginning of a phrase, the beginning of a measure. So we're going to 2. But then the other 7, I'm not using my tongue, I'm using my jaw, my lower lip to go wah, 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 wah. Should sound like this. go ahead and try that now while you're looking at the eighth note rhythm. Okay, hopefully you got that one. It's a little faster, so it takes just a little bit more speed, a little more coordination and muscle control. We're going to up the ante again. We're going to try the same note, F sharp, on this rhythm. So eighth note triplets. This is what it sounds like, taking my tongue out of the equation and just doing the wavering of the pitch with my bottom lip and jaw, a vibrato. You give it a try, and while you do, take a look at the triplets on the screen so it will help you kind of visually guide your way through that rhythm. Okay, good work. We're going to do one more rhythm, and yeah, it's going to get faster. But this will be the final speed you have to do. So this is the following rhythm we're going to end with. So standard 16th notes on an F sharp. It sounds like this. And you could think 1 E enda, 2 E enda, 3 E enda, 4 E enda. This is the same rhythm, but with a vibrato motion where I'm dropping and using my bottom lip and jaw. 3. Okay, it's kind of quick, but you give it a try while we put the 16th notes back up on the screen for you. Hopefully that last one wasn't too difficult. When I started, it was really difficult for me when I learned that, and I wasn't even as young as you guys were. I was in high school when I tried to learn that. It just didn't take. It was very difficult for me, but I kept working and working at it, and I finally got it. You don't have to be a professional musician to use vibrato. You don't have to be a high school musician. You don't have to be someone who feels like they're going to go on and play the instrument forever and be a professional one day. You just have to want to sound good. You have to be able to move your lip and train yourself to move that muscle in a certain way that you're not used to. It's really not that hard once you start to practice it and reinforce it, but the only way to do it is to practice it. So these rhythms are really what I found is the best way to do that. And again, why are we doing this? We're doing this just to sound as good as we can, to try and achieve a musical, more advanced technique on the instrument. And I think the better you do, the more fun you have. So it's hopefully going to add in your enjoyment of music. Whenever I'm playing an instrument, I will use vibrato, if it's an instrument that allows for vibrato. A couple instruments don't typically have vibrato as a technique that's an accepted technique for them, and this is one of them. The clarinet, when I'm playing clarinet, typically I'm playing with a straight tone with no wavering of pitch. Also some low brass instruments we don't always hear vibrato on, like trombone and baritone. They can use vibrato. Certainly French horn doesn't use it. But saxophone's one of the most vocal instruments, one of the most expressive of the woodwinds and of all the wind instruments, and it lends itself really well to vibrato. So we should take advantage of that by trying it. In your music, it doesn't tell you where to use it or when to use it. So where do you do it? I do it on any long tone. Think of like a tone that's hollow, note heads that aren't filled in, half notes, dotted half notes, whole notes. These notes are begging for vibrato. Eighth notes, 16th notes, they're fast. So you're not going to be able to do it. You just won't have time. Quarter notes and dotted quarter notes, sometimes they could be slow if it's a slow tempo. So it's kind of user discretion. But that's kind of the beauty of this. You'd put it in where you want it to be. They will never say, use vibrato here, or rarely will they say that. It's always up to you. Just like they'll never say, play this with a beautiful saxophone tone. That's implied that you should use a beautiful saxophone tone. So it's also implied to be as musical as possible with vibrato. Hopefully you enjoyed this lesson on a technique that sometimes is forgotten and not always talked about, but it is extremely important, vibrato on saxophone. Put this into your practicing and try it on the next piece of music that you perform, or just play in your own practice room or bedroom. it could help make you sound more mature, more musical, more advanced. And I think it's not just fun for listeners to hear, it's fun for the musician to execute it properly. Thanks so much for tuning in. Have a wonderful day.